Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it anywhere and everywhere. You can even earn money all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works.
Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today.
Then you can go ahead and distribute your podcast to Spotify and anywhere else podcasts are heard.
Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. And when you want to take the conversation with your fans to the next level, Q&A polls are the best way to get them talking.
With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions.
And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. We've been using Spotify for Podcasters, and we highly recommend you give it a try. Download Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters and get started. All right, welcome back to That's So Fringy podcast. I'm Kristen.
I'm Rick.
And we are missing Bethany because she is working. She has an actual job, so she has to sometimes be working, but we miss her, and she'll be on the next episode. But
yeah,
for today's Fringy Morsel, you're stuck with the two of us.
That's right. We drew straws, and she got the short stick, so she's got to go work today.
Somebody got to make that money.
That's right, girl. Anyway, we wanted to do another popcorn episode of these Fringy Morsels. We're hoping you're liking them, just connecting these, local stories or national stories or whatever that we're finding in the news and trying to connect that back to this kind of the stuff that we talk about, because there's a lot of fringy stuff going on out there right now.
We get sent articles all the time, and we appreciate it, and we love them. Just getting your thoughts on things is we love interacting with everybody. It's been an awesome thing. So thank you for sending stuff. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing and all of those things that we keep telling you to do, but it really makes a difference. We're seeing a huge increase in followers, and which means that the truth is reaching more people, which is why
shout out to Canada. Let's do a shout out to Canada tonight.
We haven't done a shout out to these countries. So we're in like over 50 countries. People are listening, which is crazy to me. But Canada, we have like 4% in Canada or something.
They seem to like that fringy stuff over there,
I guess. Well,
what about Australia? Australia in the house?
We do have Australia also on there pretty high.
There's lots of them, man. We hope that you guys are enjoying it.
Yeah. We are enjoying another beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest. I think it's what she said, the fourth day this year. We've reached 90 degrees, but it really doesn't feel like 90 degrees. It feels like magic.
It's nice. It's nice. We've been having a lot of fun.
And I have my That's So Fringy podcast t-shirt, if you can see me.
Boom. I got the flat earth, flat, stationary, unmovable. Oh, yeah.
Wait, in the little...
Where's it at?
God. Rick designed that shirt, by the way, so that's one of a kind. Actually, there might be 2 or 3 of them floating around, but that's neither here nor there.
Look forward to the merch coming out on the website here in a little bit.
Yes, someday we will have all that going as well. But for today, what do you got for us, Rick? What's your fringy morsel that you brought to the table?
Well, I was thinking that since Bethany's not here, I can do 2.
False.
Oh, come on. I wanted to talk a little bit about 2 things. Is that all right? I'll start with this one. Let's talk about the submarine.
Whoa, this sounds like a 90s rap song. Let's talk about
submarines. Let's talk about going deep. Let's talk about the Titanic and the Olympic. What? Oh, going down.
Yeah, that was too much.
I was freestyling.
That was too much. This is why Rick doesn't get a microphone. Mike doesn't get a Rickophone.
a Rictophone. Whatever that is.
Oh,
sure
whatever that is, canceled.
Yeah, canceled. That song you were just singing, Rick, canceled.
Also canceled.
Right. So let's talk about the submarine
Okay.
because there is a submarine that was going on a expedition down to the Titanic. You guys have probably already heard this. It's all over the news right now.
Mm-hmm.
So there was these five people in there, and interestingly enough, um, the submarine company that loaned them this ship is called Ocean Gate.
And let's talk about the weird things that are, Pizzagate, Watergate,
Yeah, it's interesting that there's all these other things called, something gate, and now you have
and Bill
Ocean
Gates.
Gate. Ooh,
Sick.
sick. Trying to make that fake meat, Bill Gates. We know what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
Get out of here. Anyway, back on the fringy
Mm-hmm.
topic for today. I was reading about this, and you've got all these people that are in there, and they're interesting people, the people that are in there, because one guy is like I want to say, the vice chairman of the World Economic Forum, which is
Weird.
interesting. His
Super
son's
weird.
also on there. Another guy that's on the board of directors is might be a Rothschild. I don't
Mhm.
know. And so there's all
Okay,
these.
for people that haven't actually listened to the news
Mhm,
story, let's go
mhm,
back a
mhm.
little bit on the original Titanic. Who was on the original Titanic? And it's speculation this is why it sunk.
Okay, so the original Titanic, when we're talking about that, we have to go back to the episode that we did, or the fringy morsel that we did about the financial system and all that, where we were talking
Hmm.
about that, um, the Jekyll Island meeting that they
Federal
did.
Reserve.
Yep, the Federal Reserve, they instituted that in 1913. So we were talking about 1912 was when the Titanic sank,
Hmm.
and I believe I mentioned in that episode that there was some guys on there that were not
Hmm.
um, that were opposed to this Federal
That was
Reserve.
actually the only ones opposed to it, I believe. There was two
Hmm.
or three of them that were on there that were in opposition to the Federal Reserve starting.
Yeah,
And so then the Titanic sinks in 1912, and the Federal Reserve is born in 1913 with no opposition.
super sus.
Weird.
So there's all kinds of speculation around
Hmm.
whether it was the real Titanic or whether it was the sister ship, the Olympic, that looked very similar. There's
Right.
a little bit of variations on there. There's speculation that they switched them so that they could get the tax payout,
Hmm.
where they wouldn't have been able to. And so there's lots of speculation there. I cannot prove or disprove any of that.
Right.
It's not really the point of this whole thing, but it is interesting that also this sub is able to cut internet lines that are down there. It has the capability to cut lines. I don't know why I'm doing this. Is this the international
It's,
sign for submarines cutting things?
I think so. I
Oh,
think
it's
you just
that.
made it.
That's right. I might
It's
have. But this Titan, which is also an interesting name,
strange. Okay.
this Titan goes down to the bottom of the ocean, and it has cutting capabilities. Now, for people that don't understand why that's important, they tell you that satellites is what's providing all your internet feeds and
Right.
all your stuff
Hmm.
like that. Well, that's not true.
They're coming
They're
from outer space, or are they coming from inner space?
Well, satellites exist, but they hang those from little floaty balloons, kind of like the one that they
Okay.
shot down, the spy balloon thing. Very interesting, by the way, that spy balloon was shot down, because we have these up all the time. I mean, you can go
Right.
to these uh, airline trackers, you can track airlines, you can track, and you can, filter through, and there's all of these different things you can look at. You can look at military, you can look at
Hmm.
whatever.
You can basically look at everything that's in the sky.
Yeah, you can see all the balloons that are always roaming around,
Right.
always way up high. They're like at what 90,000 feet or something like that. I think they cruising altitude, which is obviously really high up there, way higher than airplanes, but
Hmm.
still. within orbit or within the firmament, if you will. So going back, if you've got these spy balloons up there that are housing or hanging these satellites, right? That's one way to get communication. But the major way that all of the continents communicate is these underground cables. And these underground cables are running from continent to continent. You have this huge
I didn't know
Atlantic,
that.
multiple cables that are running through the Atlantic. And it's very interesting that
Hmm.
they're talking right now about Russian hackers, anonymous hackers, killnet hackers,
Mm-hmm.
hacking the financial system. We've been talking about that. We've been talking about the financial system. They're also talking about this sub who has a cutting capability, and it's gone down. And if you look at the maps of where that cable runs versus where they were hanging out or where the Titanic is, it's also very interesting. So
Hmm.
if we can connect this all together and say there's going to be a financial system drop, they're already hacking. I mean, everybody's experiencing all kinds of issues.
Mm-hmm. We just saw in the news that the DMV was hacked, like big time.
So this stuff's happening. Everybody's being hacked. All kinds of things are happening. And so I think you guys need to prepare yourselves for a financial shutdown and also a blackout, an internet blackout, some sort of internet and maybe even power outage. I don't know. But the way that it's looking right now, there is lots of evidence that would show that the financial market's going down. It can't survive the
Right. It can't. It's not sustainable.
Right. I'm not a financial advisor, but I listen to a lot of financial advisors and a lot of people that are saying that it's bunk. This is going to, like, people have no idea how bad it's going to be. It's going to be way worse than 2008.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be catastrophic. And it's something to think about. People need to get on board with this because all of this stuff is happening and it looks like we need to be prepared. So if you don't have any, enough food at the house, if you don't have enough gas, all of these different things, please prepare yourself. Pull your money out of the banks. Pull your money out of the banks. They're going to collapse. Like I'm not a financial lawyer. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. In my opinion, and we've done this, pull some cash out, leave some in that has, you need to do your online bill pay, that type of stuff. If you got a little bit extra that you usually put into a savings account, you might want to take that out and put it somewhere else. And I'm not saying under the mattress or whatever, but put it in a safe or get it somewhere, convert it to silver, maybe something silver and gold, God's money, because sometime in the future you might be saying that this dollar goes away. It just doesn't. It doesn't last. This is not sustainable. You can't continue to print money the way that they do. You know what I mean? And so
Okay.
if
So
it
back to the
collapses,
Titanic.
okay, sorry, let me back up. Okay, so they are going down, and the submarine, you guys know this, it disappears.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know where it's at, and then they find it. And one news story I heard said that um, they found the submarine, but there was nobody in it. But there was like 17 bolts on the outside that was bolting them in, which I thought was interesting. Seemed weird how, well, first of all, that's an interesting number. Second of all, they were bolted in there. So how did they get out? So that was one
Right.
thing that I was like, well, that's
I
weird.
heard that they found the tail like
Hmm.
near the Titanic wreckage. They found a piece of the tail of
Yeah, I also
the
heard
sub.
that there was speculation that the thing just imploded because
Mm-hmm.
obviously the
It's
further
a
down
lot of
you go, it's
pressure.
a lot of pressure. He wasn't able to sustain. Maybe there
Yeah.
was a maintenance issue. Nobody knows. Coast Guard's basically saying that it imploded, and they're assuming that they're
Right. They're
dead.
presumed dead.
Yeah, there hasn't been any bodies collected or anything like that, but it's super interesting that it's down by the Titanic, has the cutting abilities, where the cables are. Just some things to think about. Wanted to bring that up
Yep.
tonight in this really quick fringy morsel. And with that, I'm going to transition it over to,
Wait, I thought you had two.
I do. I'm going to save it for last. Yeah, this whole camera being backwards thing is weird.
It's really throwing you off.
Skull.
Rick is drinking out of an ale horn. In case anybody is wondering, it's an actual horn.
Yeah, it wasn't a random skull. It was more of an actual skull.
It's a Viking
Cheers.
mug. Wait, why don't you show it a little bit better?
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Now
Here
that
it
people
comes.
can see.
Here it comes.
Oh, look, it's a horn.
Pretty cool. Don't be jealous. You don't have to be jealous. It's fine.
It's fine. You two can order one on Amazon if you want
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Okay, so my story
Here comes the
is
devil.
I know, don't get me started.
Next.
Texas Christian University offers queer of art, no, queer art of drag, queer of art drag. What?
Something like that. Something
Whatever.
to do with queers and drag.
Queer art of drag course teaching gender binary as white supremacy.
Hmm.
So they are going to offer a class on their 2023 um, class schedule. They put this out, and it's going to, so the syllabus, it lists the weekly assignments, and student expectation states that students will create their personas through a drag vision board, engage in self-reflection, and assemble a collage of images to gain inspiration. So then all of this goes to, oh, then they're also going to read commentaries such as The Gender Binary is a Tool of White Supremacy by Kravitz Marshall. Seems
Hmm.
like some lighthearted reading. Um, and so this all is going to culminate to, at the end, they're going to have to put together a like 1 or 2 minute video basically of them dressing in drag and
Hmm.
doing a performance. And it's going to be part of their, they, I guess they've done this more than once, but they have like a annual night of drag. So this isn't, obviously hasn't, I mean, I guess it could be the first annual, but I don't think it is because it sounds like they've had this annual night of drag.
Are you saying it's a biannual or just annual?
Oh, stop it. That was, that
It
was too
was a
much.
dad joke, is what it
It
was.
was a very dad joke.
That's right.
Very, very Ned Flanders of you.
Thank you.
Yes. Anyway, so that's interesting because TCU, as people probably don't realize, I mean, I grew up listening to TCU in the sports realm, playing
Mm-hmm.
football and college
Go Horn
sports and that kind of
Frogs.
stuff. But it actually stands for Texas Christian University. So it is supposed to be a Christian university. And I guess we're using that term loosely now, but
Well, nowadays, everybody's a Christian. The president's a Christian, even though he's killing babies and sleeping with children, sniffing all kinds of babies. It's like, what are you doing with the sniffing? Oh, you know what I saw on the internet today? If you, and you're never going to be able to unsee this, everybody. If you, hold on. If you look at, I think it's Montana. Is that what's right next to, or is it Wyoming? Right next to Idaho, the panhandle of Idaho at the top. Right next to that, I
I
think it
think
might
it's
be Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like Biden sniffing Idaho.
Wow.
You're never going to unsee it.
Wow.
Just check it out. Just look. Just look at a map. It's interesting.
I I'm going to definitely look at the map. And if there is a hat or a shirt, I'll probably order it for you. Just saying.
Oh man. So this whole thing with TCU is wild because you obviously they're higher education, right?
Right.
And higher education is all about indoctrination. Like
Mhm.
it's obvious. The whole thing
I mean,
with
all of public education is too, if we're being honest. I mean, we're looking into some homeschooling stuff for our 6-year-old because he's just not thriving at his school. I guess this year we did kindergarten and we thought we'll try public school, see how it goes, and it just has been not cool. So we're looking at different homeschooling things, but then you start looking at who wrote these textbooks and who and it's
Who founded the whole education system, you know?
right,
What,
and it's all people that we can go back to. We talked about it in our previous episodes of like who are they, and some of those episodes of, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all these names that you guys already know, and they basically got to write history.
yeah. Interestingly enough, there was a guy that by the name of Rockefeller that wanted to start the whole education system. And so, I mean, if you want slaves, right?
Right.
If you want two classes of people, which we have in this nation,
Yep.
they've been trying to get rid of the middle class forever. You've got the elites and you've got the peasants, and that's the exact same thing that we've
Well, and
always.
that's how they want it. Like regardless of what you hear, higher education, all this other stuff, they want the elite and the workers. That's all they want. They don't so sending your kid to a university and spending all this money on, a higher education,
Mhm.
you're just giving them more indoctrination and they might get a very small bit of actual what are you doing with that pillow? I'm
Nothing. I
sorry.
mean,
This
it
is
was
sad.
my head was getting tired of.
Is your
Oh,
head so heavy?
oh gosh. Anyway, yeah, indoctrination. I mean, if your
Yeah.
kids are in the school system and you think they're not being indoctrinated, it's happening.
It's like every
It's
time
happening
we
for sure.
play a board game, Rick's like, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah,
He says
it's
that
true.
every time. There's a few choice words that we should let you know. If you say them around Rick, he has like an automatic response,
I don't know what you're talking about.
like the word rectum.
Wrecked him. Damn near killed him
Every time. This happens every time.
every time. What's
It's
going
like
on with this
it's
pillow?
involuntary.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So I think if you're going to send your kid to a higher education of some sort, you might want to really do your research, figure out what
hmm
these people are teaching, figure out what they're um, indoctrinating your children into, like these type of things. I mean, I'm not going to beat the trans agenda to a dead horse. Like you guys know where we stand on it and what
right.
we think of it. We know that there's one gender for a man and there's one gender for a woman. There are two genders, very distinct. God created that way. If you don't like it, that's it, man. Deal with it. I mean, there's one path to God. There's two genders. Like these are truths. These are absolute
Right.
truths of the universe. That's why when you go online to buy a trans shirt, you have to either click male or female and what size you wear. We stand by the things that we see, not the things that we're being
Right.
told, because you can be propagandized until you get walked right into a train and sent off to Auschwitz. Like you can be propagandized to your own
hmm
death. So if that's what we're going to do in this nation, then we might as well just all get on board and head on out. But I don't think that that's who we are as Americans. We're not. This is not.
Right.
We want freedom, and we don't want this halfway freedom that we have right now. We want full freedom. We want you to get your hands out of every single grubby pocket that you've got your hands in. Get your hands out of our pockets. Usury is something that they use in the financial system to keep us enslaved. Usury is in the Bible, and they don't want you to do it. And if, for those of you that don't know what usury is, that's where a financial institution charges you interest based on a loan that you have. So when you become a debtor, right, to a creditor, then you're stuck in a system, right? That's what they want you to be. They want you to be in usury, and they also want to kill babies. So if you don't think that that's ball worship, that these elites that are running our country, if that's not ball worship, I don't know what
Yep.
is. I mean, that's exactly what they're doing: usury and sacrificing babies.
Yep. The end.
Ball worship. That's,
And when he's saying ball, let's clarify. It's not like balls. Like,
it's not like basketball worship
no,
or
it's
football
like
worship.
bow.
Yeah, Baal, some people say
Mm-hmm.
in the Bible. It's a lot of times
Molech. There's all kinds of.
it's so Zeus. If you think of Zeus, which would also be Jupiter in other, so this entity, Saturn, this is Zeus. This is Baal, in because that's how you say Zeus's name in Hebrew or in Aramaic. It's Baal. So that's what they're talking about. This is another god of the Bible, the little g god that we talked about at the very beginning, and we've talked about other times. This little g god is trying to run the world, and he has got a lot of people on the hook, and everybody's dangling there like hooked fish trying to get away from him. But the problem is you can't get away from him if you've sacrificed to him and you've given him your allegiance. So you have to turn to Jesus. This is how you get out of the matrix. Literally, this is how you get out of the matrix. You turn to Jesus Christ. It's it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the rules of the game. And so when you see a nation that has leadership that's allowing this stuff to happen, enslaving their people with usury, sacrificing their children with Roe versus Wade, where we have abortion throughout. And whatever you guys think about abortion, hopefully after you listen to the Zachary King episode, you know that
Mm-hmm.
it's a satanic
Right.
sacrifice. And so you've got a country that's supporting both of these things that are very clearly in the old times Baal
Mm-hmm.
worship. So we have to ask ourselves, if I'm sending my kid to a school that is okay with allowing our children to be indoctrinated, and not only that, they're teaching them about basically Baal
Mm-hmm.
worship, which is this transgender Moloch agenda. That's what demons are. You know, if you look at all the statues, we've talked about this before, transgender. So look into the schools that you're going to send your children to. I'm not saying don't send your kids to college. I'm
Right.
saying just pay attention. You know, make good Christian, adult, American
Well, and
decisions.
unfortunately, especially in America, but everywhere, they've really blurred the lines between, Christian and secular. So, I mean, even that Bethel school, which is a huge Christian college, is got some questionable stuff in their syllabus. So, you never know. But I mean, we've been given these children as a gift, and that's how I see it with our child is, he's a gift given to us, and we need to treat him like he's a gift.
Yeah. Every child that's given to a human being is a gift from God. I mean, the whole thing has been set up for us to
Mm-hmm.
prosper, for us to grow this earth, for us to rule, have dominion, and that doesn't mean rule over people, right? That means rule over the
Mm-hmm.
earth. That's what he says in Genesis. He doesn't say rule over
Right,
people.
right.
He is the ruler over the
Mm-hmm.
people.
Well, and I already feel like, with Lincoln, we've kind of switched gears already to like, okay, we've got this figured out. We need to do something different. And he's like helping me water the flowers. And we went out and picked 5 strawberries out of our strawberry patch today. And today's the first day that he said, are we going to water the flowers? Because he's been helping me every day. And I'm like, wow. So, and today is the first day he has just willingly put his iPad down and just followed me outside. And we started watering and picking the strawberries, and like a huge difference already. Just since, he hasn't changed, but I've made the change in my mind. Like, hey, I need to start teaching him more things that are practical and not Roblox.
Yeah. Yep. Roblox is garbage. There's no reason to be doing it. It's a waste of time. But we understand it's a
Mhm.
transition for children. They've been indoctrinated. It's just like, waking people up to this agenda that these controllers have. It might be difficult
Mhm.
for people to accept. we have to think the same way about our
Right.
children. It's hard for them to accept these changes, but you can introduce these changes. It's probably good for both of you. Getting
Mhm.
people back into nature, that's what God intended. Go on hikes, go on walks, go, like you said, water plants, those type of things. There's so many things that, and I won't get into all of the benefits of
No, but
grounding
we
your
should
feet
do
or the
something on that
sun.
because there's something I mean, there is something to it, like, not I don't know.
Scientific research has
It
been done.
just like,
It's,
I'm hand watering the grass now, so I'm standing out there for, like, 2 hours because we have a big yard, and I'm standing out there
mhm,
hand watering the grass, and I swear to you, it's growing better now that I'm standing out there in
mhm.
my bare feet watering the grass. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but
No, it's the love and the attention. You've taken dominion over the yard. You've taken dominion over the plants. You're invested in
mhm,
nature. I mean, every gardener will tell you, you put your hands in that dirt and you take your gloves off, people. Take your gloves off. Get your hands in the dirt. Your hands belong in the dirt. You are dirt. That's what you're made from. You can get your hands dirty. You can get your feet dirty. And I'm not saying this to all parents to make you think that you have to do anything I'm saying, but take your kids' shoes off. Let them run in the mud. Let them run around in the dirt. Let them get dirty. Let them be children. There's so many parents out there that are like, oh, don't mess up your clothes. Don't mess up your shoes. Like, well, stop buying them all that stuff. So buy them stuff that they can get
mhm,
dirty or have two sets of clothes. Put some dirty clothes on them and just let them
mhm,
run. If it's raining outside, who cares? Let them run in the rain. Let them get wet. Let them jump fences. Let them whatever. Let them be kids, because when you bring them into you, and this is something that we've been taught, right? Bring these kids in and coddle them and keep them safe, because we don't know. It's like, how did the ancients do it? Do you think that they had internet? Do you think that they had houses and lights and all these things? No, children
mhm.
have been surviving in the wild for the time that humans have been here. That's how God designed it. And, when we take ourselves out of nature, that's where the problems begin. We start getting sick and relying on medicine and
Mhm.
pharmaceuticals and all these different things. Ground yourself, get energy from the sun. This place is created for you. That's the crazy thing. This place has been created for you, and you have a purpose, and there is a reason that you're here. It is to cultivate the land, it is to cultivate your family and the relationships in your community. These are the purposes, not slavery to the cabal, not slavery to this fed money system. Like, all of these things are
I
garbage. You
know.
guys know
It's like
that.
we have these
When you get
nice
off work, what do
houses,
you want
but
to do? You want to go camping.
we pay money to go camping in the woods with a campfire and like hot links over the fire for dinner. And we pay money to go and do that when we, I know, because and that's where people feel more connected to everything,
Because that's where we're happy. That's our happy
to their
place.
family, to each other. Like it's just crazy. But anyway, we digress. That was a bit of a long one, but we do that sometimes. We do that sometimes.
Eh, what's long, really? It's relative. I mean,
Wait, do you know of a
if
good
you're
podcast?
obsessed with a really good podcast, like I know some of you are,
Anywho,
well, I've heard of one, but
yes. What do we have coming
guys,
up?
stay
Let's see.
fringy
We
out there. We're having
have,
good
so we're
times.
going to
We got
have a
lots of
big,
fun
well,
stuff coming
I say
up.
big, and what I mean is big, but what I also mean is we have a kind of a, it's, yeah, I mean,
Well, it's more of
it's going
like a
to be a giant
giant
bonanza
type of
or something
like a
because we have
double header
a couple
type
guests that
thing.
are going to kind of blow the lid on some of the giant stuff, which is really cool. Wow. 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 Wow.
Hmm?
Yes. So next episode
Okay,
on
guys,
Sunday,
listen.
we spoke with a
Human
local woman here that
trafficking
lives
is
in
a big
Eugene.
deal.
She has a business. Is it a business? Yeah. So yeah, it's called One's Purpose,
Business
and
ministry,
she is going
desire
into
to do
schools and
better.
is talking about human trafficking, and it's happening, guys, in these small towns that we live in. We live in a small town. We're not, I mean, we're kind of in
Yeah.
between a couple of big goofball towns, but it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. So she's got a lot of kind of personal experience and some warning signs that you can look for in kind of what these traffickers do. So tune in on Sunday, because she's got a lot of knowledge, and we're going to probably be doing some stuff with her
Yeah.
later on, also.
Yeah. Yeah. So get ready. It's going to be giant. It's going to be fun. It's
Yeah.
the human trafficking might be sensitive to some of you, might be trigger warning. We'll give you that. Also, probably not for little ears. So, viewer or listener discretion is advised. So, with that, we thank you so much for being
Mhm.
just a great fan base, man. We're having a great time. You guys are interacting, and we can't thank you guys
Yep.
enough for all that you feedback that you give and the stuff that you're sending, as Kristen said before. But the most important thing is connect with your families, work on yourself, do do better, want to do better in everything that you do for the Lord, and work on your families. Think of things you guys can do as a family. Think about getting outside, connect with your community, because that's where the real
Mhm.
beauty of this world is. So, with that said, stay fringy, my friends, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye.
Peace.